Alright guys, I'm going to take you through how to use your ACRE PRR. Everyone should now have one.
Everybody
If
here
you
at the
don't,
back.
we'll soon find out. First thing you're going to want to do is change your keybind. So what we're all going to do is hit escape, go to configure, go to controls. At the bottom, you'll go to configure add-ons. Once you're in there, you want to hit the add-on knock-down menu, and you're going to want to go to ACRE 2. Again, ACRE 2. So once you're on ACRE 2, there's going to be a few things you're going to want to bind and unbind. The first thing we're going to want to bind is PTT1, or Radio 1 Transmit. That should be at the top. You can either keep your current bind or change it to, I recommend, a 1-key bind. So you only have to press 1 key rather than about 4. The most common key we use is probably caps lock, but if you just change it to whatever suits you now, or don't change it at all, but as long as you know what your Radio 1 transmit is, there's no issue there. Once you've done that, the next one you want to go find is Babel Cycle Language. You're going to unbind that key because it's not in use at the moment. Next two we're going to want to bind are Open Active Radio and Cycle/Next Radio. These are directly below direct speech volume control. Since you've only got one radio on you, the most important bind there is Open Active Radio. But you are going to need your Cycle/Next Radio in case you're ever expected to carry two. Once everyone's done that, you can Cycle/Next Radio, set a bind for that. Again, it could be whatever bind you want. And those should be all the binds you'll need for today. Now we've done that, everyone should have a push-to-talk 1 set, Babel unbinded, and an Open Active Radio bind set. So if everyone now hits whatever you've set your Open Active Radio bind to, if you've done it correctly, you'll know because a green radio will pop up on your screen. Okay, so it's quite a simple radio. We've got 2 switches on the top. The left-hand switch is a volume switch. You increase your volume in increments of 20% by left mouse button clicking. And you decrease the volume in increments of 20% by right mouse clicking. Typically, you're going to want to be on 60 to 80% with earplugs. The right-hand side of that, we've got a change channel. There are 16 channels. Only odd numbers are presented and even numbers are presented with a white dot. The left mouse button to increase the channel, and it's a right mouse button to decrease the channel. So on the left-hand side, now everyone's at the same point. You should see detach handle when you hover over it. Left mouse button and you'll detach your handle. You'll now be presented with a series of switches, and at the bottom there's a grey box with a blue circle in the middle. What we're going to do here is change our block and channel. So it's left click to increase the block, and it's right click to decrease the block. So now everyone can see this. We're going to left click up to block 13. That's block 1, 3. And once you can see that you're set on 13, you're going to reattach your handle. Once you've reattached your handle, you're going to switch the channel and keep it on channel 1. So you're going to right click until the switch no longer turns. And then you can adjust the volume once people start speaking. That's how you set up your radio, and when you actually go into a section, you'll be given a block and a channel that your section will normally operate on. Has anyone got any questions on how you actually set the radio up? Right, if not, we'll go through kind of the basic procedures on the radio. So the PRR is only used at section level, but it's for yourself to communicate with your section members, but the kind of priority on that channel is for the IC and the 2 IC to talk to each other and actually distribute orders to the rest of the section without actually having to directly speak to them. The PRR has quite a short range. Typically, you're looking at about 400 meters in an urban environment. In kind of a perfect, or like a horizon situation, you could get kind of ranges up to 1,000 meters. I should also say that this operates on a line of sight at the moment. So line of sight means as long as you can see the person, you should be able to have completely clear communication with them. If they're on the other side of a small object, communication should go through pretty fine. But if they're on the other side of a mountain, no communication is going to go through whatsoever. Equally, even if you can't see the person, but you're you might be able to see them like a couple pixels, the radio will still transmit. Things like leaves and bits like that will slowly interfere with the radio as well. So typically operating range is 400 to 800 meters. So that's perfect for kind of the ranges a section will be operating in. So it's a half duplex radio we're using on the PRR, which means it's a bit touch and go, but people should be able to speak over each other on the PRR. On some of the other radios, we're operating a 152 and a 117. On these radios, full duplex, so only one person can speak at a time. And on the PRR, you want to keep that same etiquette. You don't want to be talking over people. A few rules about the PRR. There's a few calls that you'll need to know. The first one is a break. If, say, the IC or the 2IC or another section member hits you with a break, basically means whoever's speaking needs to shut up because there's something more important to get sent through. Typically, it's going to be used, and you can use it yourself. Let's say you've seen an enemy or you've seen something important or something that's kind of time sensitive. Let's say there's a car speeding towards us and someone's chatting shit about what they've had for, I don't know, dinner. Then you're going to want to break. You know, as a car speeding towards us, give direction. But it's those kind of calls that are going to be used for a break. Also, the break, once someone's actually given that, you should hold that conversation until all the priority comms have gone through, and then you can then resume that. Some other things that we use on the radio is a radio check. So at the start of each evening, a radio checks are conducted, so we know who's kind of in range, who can we speak. So firstly, the company-wide radio check goes out. So this is going out to each platoon and kind of all the support attachments and JHC. Following this, we have our platoon radio check. So that's the ICs, 2ICs, etc., having a chat. Once the ICs and 2ICs do a radio check on the platoon net with each other, you'll then be asked to do your radio checks. So once everyone will be set on the correct block and channel, you'll go through on your order of march. So this will be kind of, well, as it says, who's first, who's last, and going in that order, making sure that everyone's on the net and that you've got it set up correctly. Also gives you time to kind of calibrate volumes, stuff like that. So we'll go over the procedure in just a second, and we'll give you all time to practice it. So main procedure is the IC or the 2IC will ask you to conduct a radio check, order of march. This will indicate that the point man needs to start the radio check, or whoever's at the front of the line will start the radio check. So you should all be on block 13, channel 1. So I'll conduct a quick radio check. So it'll be radio check, order of march. So the next radio check sounds something like, this is AF, block 13, channel 1, radio check. Whoever is on the other side, reply with what they can hear. So typically the word is okay for if they can hear it. So the reply will be either check or okay. And then you'll go down all the section members until that's been conducted. The PRR is quite informal to that extent, is that we don't have to use all the overs and the out calls. Because the only people that should be on that net are recognisable voices. Has anyone got any questions about the PRR before we actually get everyone to do a check? No? Okay, so I'll go down the rows left to right and I'll say your name and I just want you to give me a, just say check on the radio. So Hennessy, we'll start with you. Give me a check.
Check.
Yep, Thomas.
Check.
Rawcliffe.
Check.
Yep. Don't know how to say your name, but
check.
Watcher. Yeah. Kemp.
Check.
And Armsdale.
Check.
Murray.
Check.
Nicholson.
Check.
Benji.
Check.
Again, so I don't know how to say your name, sorry.
Aya, check.
Aya. Walker.
Check.
Reeves.
Check.
Broad.
Check.
Yeah. Smith.
Check.
Yeah. G.
Check.
Tuggins.
Check.
I'm gonna head over to.
Yeah, good check on all. So if radios are too loud, you try to speak to someone off radio. The only thing you'll need to know here is that you can lower your headset and that you can hover over whichever radio you've got and either open it if you haven't got the bind set. You can share it if someone else doesn't have a radio or someone else needs to listen in to your section comms. And you can also change which ear you choose to hear it through. So that's when you open radios in ACE Interact, you go to whichever radio you have, hover over what will be both ears currently, and you can set it either to both ears, your left ear or your right ear, depending on your preference.
All right, lads. Everyone wants to jump up, come out here. We'll get you. We're going to move on to RTR drills.
Morse.